Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to our launch event for the Portsmouth Women Supporters Club. Absolutely delighted to see so many people here. We literally started from nothing only a few months ago, so to have the Legends Lounge full of people is absolutely amazing, and yeah, really excited about what we can do from here. So before I do my welcome speech, what I'm going to do is just introduce the committee members to you. We have Brad here, who's going to take the position of Treasurer. We have Will, who's going to do is our media. We have myself, Ian, I'm going to be the chair. Susie, my wife, is secretary, and then we have Abby, our vice chair, is just there. Abby, we've got a seat up here for you if you want.
I'll hang out the back if you're right.
That's okay. So how we're going to do the evening, I'm going to do a little welcome speech introducing you to the Supporters Club, why we're doing it and why it's so important. And then we're going to move swiftly on to our star-studied panel, all waiting over there, ready for your questions. Jay looks really enthusiastic. We're really excited to have the panel we have for our first ever meeting is unbelievable, and it just goes to show the level of support we've had from the women's team for so long now. So we're really appreciative of the four of you being here, and look forward to asking you a load of questions in a short period of time. So for now, I'm going to do my welcome intro. So yeah, I'm really delighted to see everyone here. I'd like to start by first of all saying it's a real honour for me to hold the position of chair. Yes, it was my idea. I didn't necessarily have the ambition of being chair, but it just ended up that way. As most things do, I end up doing them. For my time on the committee, I'm going to do my very best to grow it, to make it something special, so that when I step down as chair, it has a legacy and it will carry on. A few thank yous then to start off with. Firstly, Susie, Abby, Will and Brad for agreeing to come on the board and form the founding committee. When I approached them all those months ago, I'm not really sure that we realised the amount of work it would take to actually get a supporters club up and running and officially recognised as well. And I don't think they really expected that they'd be spending their summer holidays debating pin badge designs and membership packs. So I really appreciate all the time and effort that you've all put into getting us to where we are. I'd also like to thank Sarah and Janet, who kindly donated our Player of the Season shields. They're going to last us a decade, and they donated them purely out of their own money, and we really appreciate that. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Donald Vass, Simon Coleborn and our friends at the Portsmouth Supporters Club. They have been unbelievably supportive in our initiation and our setup. The guidance and their financial donation from the Supporters Trust was invaluable to make sure we can actually get up and running. Things like setting up websites and stuff, it's not free. It's a financial cost, and the Trust gave us the money to do that, so we're very appreciative of them. I also think it's really important that we recognise those who have worked tirelessly for so many years behind the scenes, long before the club was even semi-professional. There's many names on this list, but we include the likes of Dave Coyle, Mick and Anne Williams, who without them there would not be a women's team. We literally wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for them. Tonight I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank three people who have been the heart of Portsmouth Women since I followed the team. Helen Chivers, Bill Griffiths and Eric Coleborn. You're all highly respected in the Portsmouth family, and without you we wouldn't have Portsmouth Women, and we're eternally grateful for everything you've done for the women's team. My family and I have followed the women's team for about 7 years now. We started attending really to get our daughter Abby into football. We used to take her to the men's game, but it just wasn't working. She wasn't buying into it. And my friend Sam suggested she might find the women's team a little bit more relatable. That first home game against Chaplen lit a flame for our family which still burns brightly today. My daughter especially was instantly transfixed by the players. "You mean girls can play too?" she said. We built relationships with players and staff which carry on to this day, and their warmth and kindness inspired my daughter to start playing football. Well, that was 7 years ago, and she's had her own football journey through Fulham and Portsmouth's youth systems, and she now proudly plays for Portsmouth under-14s. Helping my daughter fall in love with football is a debt that I'll always try to pay back. That, alongside the injustice of the way women's football, and sometimes women in general, are treated in the football space, has inspired me to make a difference. We started with our YouTube channel, Pompey Women Vlogs, which with the aid of our sponsors Bill and then the Minty Army has grown into something I never imagined it would. 6 years later, we're 131 vlogs in and almost 50,000 channel views. We always get stopped at every single men and women's game by viewers of the channel, which makes me a bit uncomfortable, but it's also amazing that people recognise who we are and they recognise Portsmouth Women. And it's been a real honour to do the YouTube channel up to now. But now we're going to turn our focus to the Supporters Club. So why is having a dedicated Supporters Club so important? It comes down to representation. Portsmouth Women, formerly ladies, have always had a dedicated supporter base. Never talked about, never seeking attention, they've always been there getting behind the girls home and away. And that's whether they're playing in a muddy school field in Pompey a decade ago, or 100 of us out singing 20,000 Geordies at St James's Park last season. It's time that the women's supporter base had a dedicated baddie to run her under, and we can be a single voice to represent Portsmouth women's supporters on national and local forums, such as the Tony Goodall Fans Conference. We've created the Supporters Club on solid foundations with the aspiration that it will grow in the next few seasons and bring our existing fan base together and also bring in new supporters as well. Women's football has always faced huge adversity, banned for decades by the FA because it was threatening to overshadow the men's game, and a constant target by social media trolls and misogynists. It's constantly fighting for its right to exist. To those who do follow it, it brings joy, a feeling of belonging, and for those young girls attending, an inspiration that they too can play football. This is why it's so important that we stand together and we fight for women's football. We unite together to protect it and grow it into something that will continue to bring happiness and inspiration to millions of people in the future. We have to ignore the Collins 53 from Stoke, who reckons his pub team can beat the Lionesses, and focus instead on the Abbeys, who are desperately looking for those role models to give them confidence to play sport. In my 7-year-old son William, we have an example of what the future needs to be. William sees men and women's football as equal. He actually enjoys the women's game more, and his favourite Portsmouth player is a women's player, Sophie Quirk. He proudly wears his Quirk shirt. He's actually got his new one on tonight. He wears his Sophie Quirk shirt to school. He wears it to school training, to his football club training, and he's always surrounded by Messi, Saka, Ronaldo shirts. William does not care. He argues with his friends, stating, well, I've met my hero and she signed my shirt and you haven't had that. The accessibility William has had to the women's team is another reason why women's football is so special. My dream is that the Collins from Stoke are the past and the William Chivertons are the future. The forming of the Portsmouth Women Supporters Club is another step in the right direction for Portsmouth Football Club. When the Eisner family took over Portsmouth, I contacted Eric Eisner directly, and I simply said to him that you have to look after the women's team. Do not underestimate what that team means to people. He simply told me to trust him. 4 years after that conversation, I had the opportunity to speak to Eric, Andy Cullen and Andy Redmond at the recent South Sea promotion celebrations, and their passion and commitment to grow the women's team fills me with hope for the future. Now, with the team going full-time and the recruitment of our head of football, Brooke, I feel more confident than ever that we are on the right track. Like many of you, seeing the girls up on the stage at South Sea celebrations was a pinch myself moment. I had a tear in my eye and I found it extremely hard to comprehend quite how far the women's team had come in such a short period of time. The Supporters Club started as a Facebook group and I was taken aback by how quickly it's grown. We're fast approaching 900 members, and it's great to see people on there on a daily basis talking everything Portsmouth Women. The Supporters Club will aim to work with the football club to continue its brilliant work already started and carry on growing women's and girls football at this football club. We are very grateful to the 130 people who have already signed up to the Supporters Club. Without our full paid members, we just simply wouldn't be able to achieve the objectives we've laid out, and we're grateful to every single one of you. We're working hard on the membership packs and we hope to have them out to you in late September. If you haven't signed up already, you can do so tonight over at the membership table there. We still have enough places. The first 250 people will receive your golden limited edition founders badge. We've had the photos back. They do look really, really good. You can sign up through the website when you get home, or you can sign up at the table and we can take card or cash payment tonight. I'd like to welcome Brooke, the new head of women's football at Portsmouth Football Club. Brooke brings a vast amount of experience and knowledge to the role, and we look forward to working with her, and we're really grateful for her for agreeing to attend tonight. Before I hand back over for our Q&A, I just want to mention one last person, Jay. You've been manager of the women's team for the whole journey, right from grassroots status through to full-time professional. You've been one of the major driving forces behind the amazing progress of our women's team. You've always had time for fans. Grabbing you for vlog interviews, even after defeats, has never been any trouble to you. You're always just a phone call away if I need anything, and the sacrifices you have made to fulfil your role are numerous. Whether that be buying team equipment on your own credit card back in the day, or having to work whilst on a recent family holiday. Jay, we truly appreciate everything you and your family have done and sacrificed to make Portsmouth Women what it is, and I couldn't think of anyone better to lead us into our first season as a professional team. So, thanks for your time, everyone. I'm going to hand over to Abby now, who's going to introduce our panel for the Q&A.
First of all, I know Ian said at the beginning that stuff just kind of happens and he just kind of ran with it. But I think we have to also face the inevitable that if it wasn't Ian that gave us all a bit of a kick up the backside, to be quite honest, this might not have been happening. So, along with the list of thank yous that Ian's given, can we just give him a quick thank you?
So, Jay, what could be the most awkward question anyone could ask you?
I feel like we could have done with 2 work plans.
I plead the fifth. I don't really know.
How's the new job going?
Yeah, no, really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. As I think Ian mentioned, it was kind of the pipe dream when I started, if anything. Doing it more for the ambition and the thought of it, and then for it to now become a reality has been fantastic. So I think for the first couple of weeks it was a bit pinch yourself moment, I won't lie, humility there, but now I think we've kind of got into the swing of things and we've had some games against some top teams in pre-season, we've got new players in and new staff in. Yeah, there's kind of a drive now and it feels like it's real. The season's 10 days away, if that now. So yeah, it feels real and kind of ready to compete with some top teams in the league.
Next question. Can you maybe use your voice so the...
Right, so a few of us were just asking what's happening about a second goalkeeper.
Hannah, we know you're superhuman.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that we've been discussing behind the scenes. Obviously, Hannah's been a fantastic goalkeeper, still is a fantastic goalkeeper, has been playing below her level, and now she's made it to her level. But honestly, God forbid, anything was to happen, we know we need cover like we do in all areas. So something that we're working on behind the scenes. I think John's mentioned it and I'll say it as well, we've got to wait for the right person to come in and the right goalkeeper, the right player that we feel will complement the group, and we feel if something like that comes along, then we'll take it. But it's definitely something that we're looking to do, and especially before the end of the window.
Got one for Brooke. Hi, Brooke. Hi. I'll stand up because you're not sitting. Being new to Poppy Women, what challenges have you come across that have really, got your brain thinking? Because, we were completely an amateur set-up, then semi-professional, now fully professional, and you've come in when we've moved to the fully professional set-up. So what challenges are you looking at?
So I think it goes without saying the jump from tier 3 to tier 2 from a licence and compliance point of view is huge. We haven't had long to turn that around, and that literally, it relates to facilities, it relates to qualifications of staff, and everything that you could think of has to be uplifted really quickly. So I think the biggest challenge has been a really short space of time to get to a point where we are compliant with this league. And the staff have been excellent in working with me on that, because sometimes you do feel like you're trying to pull things from people that everyone's come on their journey to here, and essentially the staff that are already here of what has got us to where we are, staff and players, but now we have to make a really big step, everyone, players, staff included. So I think that's really been the biggest challenge, is trying to get everyone to buy into what we have to do as a business and as a football club to meet the requirements that this league has. And that's been tough, really tough, and I'm sweating with the league starting in 2 weeks because we've still got so much to do. But we'll get there, we'll get there.
Thank you.
Just as a follow-up to that, I mean, that's a fantastic answer. It's really interesting to hear the challenge of moving from Tier 3 to Tier 2. And I think we all appreciate that. And I would imagine that for most supporters, ambition is kind of metered with that, and we're aware. But beyond that, how far do you think it's going to sound like an interview question, and I apologise for that. But how far do you think the Portsmouth Women's Football can go? Do you think is there a realistic ambition really to climb to the next ladder as well? That's a long way off, don't get me wrong. But is that where you're headed, do you think? Lovely to think that the answer is yes.
I'll answer that. We're not in the game to do anything else other than to progress. Now, that will take time, obviously. I'm not expecting Jay to do it this season, although if he does, I'll be extremely pleased.
No pressure.
We always aim higher. That's the bottom line. And to be fair, Jay does that as well. So, yes, the WSL is where we will be. That's my goal. It was my goal, obviously, to get us in the Championship like Jay's goal was, and Jay's goal is to get us in the WSL as my goal is. That's where we want to be going forward. It'll take time, but the idea is to keep improving every year. I've got to say, the jump from Tier 3 to Tier 2 is astronomical. Astronomical. You cannot believe the amount of work that has to go into this. Brooke's just hardly touched the surface of what we've got to do. There are so many rules and regulations. It is frightening, absolutely frightening. I looked at the fines that we can get for not doing certain things. I tell you now, it's absolutely mind-boggling. From things like, not, if we're late kicking off, you're late kicking off, £300 fine. So you don't kick off at 2 o'clock, £300 fine, and another £50 for every minute you're late. Okay? If you're not out 5 minutes before the kick-off on the referee's call, i.e. on the pitch, 5 minutes before the call, I think that's £500. Yeah, £500 fine for that. Well, I worked out last season, we'd have been bust. These are the things that people don't realise, don't understand, obviously. But the list of fines is astronomical. For everything, you not having the proper people attending the referees' pre-match meet. The team sheet, any mistake on the team sheet, goodness gracious me, you don't want to be there. You make a change on the team sheet, oh my goodness, it is absolutely frightening. I've got to take my hat off, obviously, to Jay and the players and everything who obviously got us here and doing a fantastic job. But I will say, we certainly couldn't have got here without the help of Helen and Bill, who were phenomenal getting us, because you don't just get promoted by winning the league. You've got to pass the test, and that test is frightening. I know Bill and Helen worked tirelessly to get us here, and still are working. Brooke's come in with all her knowledge. By the way, Brooke has worked in the WSL and in the Championship. She knows the game, and if you like, we're turning from amateur to professional, and that's the important thing. We've got to be a proper professional football club in this Championship. They won't allow you to be anything else, I can assure you of that. Obviously, I think everyone appreciates that the top two leagues, the WSL and the Championship, have split off from the FA. So we're basically the same situation as the Men's Football Premier League started in 1992 when they split off. So that's what's happening in women's football. Now, we are told by Nikki Ducat, who's the CEO, that women's football, the top two leagues in women's football, will be a £1 billion industry within 10 years. A £1 billion industry within 10 years. And that's frightening, absolutely frightening. But it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us, and we are going to work our socks off to get as high up, hopefully into the WSL, as we can, and make you all proud of these people who do such a fantastic job.
So I've got one for Jay and Brooke, mainly. So currently in the window, we've had 10 outgoings, 5 incomings. Obviously, some of the teams around us, they've been building some pretty big squads. So what could we expect for the remainder of this window?
Yeah, no, we're hoping to get some more bodies through the door. But like I said earlier, it's kind of, we've got a style of play that we obviously had last season. We're going to make slight adaptations to that, obviously going into the new season. But obviously we need players. We need good players. But the biggest thing for us this season has been the opportunity we've given to a load of the players that have got us into this position. So a lot of them going full time, like Han, for the first time in their careers. And we've kind of got good core of players that understand the culture and the identity of the club, the community, the city, how we want to play. And then instead of going and bringing 13, 14, 15 brand new faces and then having to put them all together, we're going to slowly build, as Eric was alluding to. So we're hoping there'll be a few more players. That's always the aim. It's never that easy as it was previously. When we were grassroots, we could go and get a player and it would take not even a day. You could sign them and they're on a reg form. Now these deals can take a lot of time. There's a lot more like I say, compliance and regulation that goes on behind the scenes to get them over, talking to certain clubs. So yeah, we're hoping to bring in a few more players that can add quality, add depth and add character to the current group. We've still got a little bit of time before we hopefully do that.
Can I ask what do you have a window, like the men do?
Yeah, I believe it closes September 14th. 13th, September the 13th, that would have been late by a day, so. But yeah, and that's another massive factor, like you mentioned about a goalkeeper, and in the past, if we did pick up an injury or something, we could have, like we did with Daisy McLaughlin and Scarlett Williams, we went and got them whenever we needed to, really, whereas now you have to build for the future, for the next 6 months, for the next 12 months, and we're also looking beyond that with the staff we've got of what next summer might look like, even though we're in this summer too, with the current players we've got. And as you mentioned, there are a lot of established teams that are signing some big names, whereas we're going about our business trying to sign not the best player, we're trying to sign the right player for Pompey, the right player for what we're doing. And yeah, with a little bit of time left, hopefully you can add 1 or 2 more.
So is there a January window type of thing, or is it just a one-off?
Yeah, no, there's a January window too. Again, similar, kind of aligns with the professional game in the men's now. So when you're talking about that jump up, now we've got transfer windows as well as all the other compliance and regs. So there's a lot to obviously think about, but obviously it's exciting that we're having to think about this because it shows where we've gone.
Have you had to increase your match day staff bench as well?
In terms of...
Let's make sure you've got your medical officer, your doctor, your physio and everything, or is that already set up well enough?
Yeah, no, we're obviously continuing to improve that and look at, as Brooke said, there's like a lot of compliance and regulation that we're having to adhere to. A lot of the staff that have jumped, there's I know it was announced on social media, a lot of them were given the opportunity because they've earned it and they've got here. So it's kind of like, I won't lie, there are people there maybe that don't have the wealth of experience that other teams have, but they've got heart, enthusiasm, and they've earned the opportunity to be in the Championship, and now they've got to learn quickly, because there is a lot to learn, as Brooke was alluding to, from me to all the staff. So at the minute, I think we're in a good place, and we obviously want to strive for better. We want to keep specialising the group, but we also understand that we've got to walk before we can run.
Question for Brooke. You were saying outside that actually you're a Pompey girl, so we know that you played WSL and all sorts of things. So what's brought you, what did you see in that job advert that said, right, that's for me, that's what I want to do? And
obviously it's a role that I've done previous to come into this club, and leaving football is difficult when you're a player, but staying in it was like essential for me to stay in the game and to continue my journey in football, which I was fortunate enough to do at Reading in the head of football role there. It hits different when you come back to your home club. I have many memories of coming to Fratton Park as a young girl. I remember going to my first training session with Vanessa Rainbird as the manager. Dave Coyle was the club sec. I would have been 16, 17 years old, so the memories and like the passion for the club obviously makes coming to work very different. My family is obsessed with Portsmouth Football Club, and every time something goes on I get a screenshot WhatsApp message of, oh, what's this, da-da-da. So yeah, it's just nice, isn't it? It's something that I've supported. Even when I've played at other clubs, we always come to Fratton Park when I have a free weekend. Always looking out for the Pompey scores, so it's just finally nice to be working at a club that you truly support and that you've got a real passion for.
Brooke, you mentioned that you had played obviously before. How do you see the women's team now they've gone professional, working with our grassroots girls and women sort of coming through?
So this is probably one of my biggest priorities for this season. A few of us were speaking before we came up, and I think it's a fair comment to say that communities are a really big part of women's football specifically. I think they do a lot of the hard graft of the women's side, especially the younger age groups, and it is a top priority for me this year to build a better relationship with the trust. We have to align those pathways for the club to succeed. How we do that, obviously we need to have a look at and work with Pompey in the community and the excellent work that they're doing from very young grassroots right up to their development education programme, which Kirsty, who I've played with at Reading and played with at Portsmouth when I was younger, is running those programmes. So it is on the cards. Obviously there's been a lot going on the last 6 weeks, and trying to get the club ready for the season was the first priority. But I think one of the longer term goals has to be how we work together to align that pathway so that young girls in the city see a direct route from, if I start at 8, I can get to there. And at the moment I'm not quite sure that's there. But again, it's a long-term plan, and I think it needs a lot of thought as to how that works.
Quick question for Hannah. You've been with us now for 5 years. Your first games was an amateur, now you'll be the captain of a championship team. How different is it being a professional? Is it harder than having a job and sharing in some ways and easier in other ways?
It's different. At times it's challenging. But whether you're in a job and then going to football, or whether football is your job, it both comes with different challenges, different psychological approaches as well. I'd be lying if I wasn't saying I'm currently living out my dream. Like, my work is kicking a football around or jumping on the floor, like. But it's still, I know Jay said the first couple of weeks for him it kind of sunk in, but it's not sunk in yet. For many reasons. I think first game of the season, or the preparations leading into it next week, is when it will set in, and then hopefully when we get a win against Chaplen at the Valley on our first game. Definitely be something by then, but nah, it's pretty cool.
How scary was it to quit your day job?
Not scary. I snapped your hand off in a heartbeat, didn't I? I think I texted him and was like, oh, really? But for me, it hasn't quite felt that different yet because I was working in school previously, so currently 6 weeks holiday. So next week when the kids go back to school and I'm not minus 1 day, that'll be when it sinks in. But yeah, not snapped it off in a heartbeat. Like, you play football because you want to make a career out of it and you want to go the highest that you can go. So when that opportunity came, it didn't take a second guess at all.
Every away game, or every league away game, and hopefully to the FA Cup final. So yeah, that would be it. I just explained quickly. The coach will be a 49-seater normally. It has disabled access. It has a toilet. And they're supposedly, well, they are a high quality coach. They'll only be a year or two old at the most. So we're trying to hit that standard. I don't know if anybody, I know quite a few of you went to Newcastle on coach and Chaplen last season on coach. I hope you think the standard of coach was good, and that's what we're trying to set, high standards. So high standards for our supporters, because we've got the best supporters, so we want to have them the best facilities they can have. And that's down to your team here that are working so hard to get you that. So we'll be using a 49-seater. If for any reason we don't get 20 people, we will drop down to a 19-seater Sprinter. This is all being run through Luckett's, and unfortunately that won't have disabled access on it. But the idea is to try and make it 49-seater for every away game with disabled access. And if we get the support and we sell out, we'll move up to a 60 something seater coach, next one up, so we can get more people. And if that sells out, we'll go to a super duper double decker 77 seater. So let's show you support, guys. All right. I will say it's a tremendous commitment. Phenomenal job by Brooke, by Mark Judges in the commercial department as well to sort this. And I take my hat off to them. I really do. So I hope everybody will support that going forward. I think we'll be the first team in the championship to do that. So, but we've always led the way here, haven't we? So, but no, that's something that as I say, take my hat off to these guys sorting that out. So it'll all be done through Luckett's, and it just as the way the men's are done, you can book through Luckett's. So yeah, please support that.
Can I ask? I think I read that it says leave at 9 in the morning, get back at 8. Is that? Does anybody know, is that the actual timing? Because that seems a bit long for Charlton.
I can find that out.
Yeah. I'm only saying because that could be a reason why people don't go on the coach. Yeah. If it's, you know.
I know. I think that there's sort of twofold. One, with the leaving time, people don't want to be late for a kick-off. They like to get up here, like Charlton on the Valley. It's not, not being rude. It's not Brixton Reserves secondary ground or something or other. This is the Valley at Charlton. I think people want to, get there and get the experience. Hopefully, most of the teams we're playing, I think, at their home grounds, the men's home grounds. It's only Newcastle, Durham obviously wouldn't be, but I think everybody else is Birmingham St Andrews, Charlton is, Southampton is, Blackburn is Heward Park. So most of them are.
Can I just ask from a supporter's perspective? I know we were talking about in the supporters club at Charlton, we've said, you know, we're going to try and sit in that block, and I think as a supporters club we might, if we don't get our own area, we might continue to do that. But when the team down the road came to Wesley Park, we had to go to segregation kind of area for obvious reasons. Will that continue? Are we looking to do that this year? Is it going to be like everyone mixed for every other game, but that particular game? You know, we've got to be honest, some of us had a really, really grim experience.
The game is at Fratton Park, isn't it? So we're not going to have to worry about that this year.
Yeah, but are we
still... We also have them in the League Cup.
I just want these plans to be made, basically.
So the situation will be that when these games arrive, Marie, who's our safety lead, will liaise with their safety team and the police on whether that's required. So that's the honest answer there, and a decision will be made based on the risk. So when those decisions and conversations have to start happening, which will be in the lead up to those fixtures, those decisions will be made, and I would imagine they will be communicated as well. In the past, in my role, we haven't done a strict segregation. We've been keen to kind of lead opposition to certain areas of the stadium and book tickets in like certain sections, but for that at the moment there's not been a decision made, so once there is, we'll communicate that with you guys.
Joe, what is the plan going forward for the development squad? Will that become their reserve side?
So because this year we haven't got a PGA and we have a year to develop and build a PGA, which is obviously the academy that all championship licensed clubs have to have, this year that will act as our PGA, which means we're able to register the players that are playing in the under-23s as non-contract players for the first team. So essentially it is a pathway into the first team. But obviously that has to be reviewed at the end of the year because of the licence requirements and expectations on how the PGA has to look going forward.
Yeah, can do. Yeah, because I think the other hardest thing going there is the fact they're at a different venue, different time. So we're down at Wesley Park during the day, they're down at John Jenkins during the evening. So we've brought in voluntary Ben Pinnington, fantastic individual who's kind of going to be our pathway lead and communicate that way. I'm going to be going down to minimum 1, if not 2 sessions every month. We've had 8 of the players train with the first team over the pre-season to give them exposure of what full-time professional football looks like for them, and also to see the levels that they're at and to keep that pathway going. So it's easy to say we want the pathway there, and we do, and it's just got the actions of it. But in terms of moving forward, they'll get all the staff in, and the players will get as much of the support from us as possible, as I know it's going to be a big task to maintain that pathway and strengthen it from, as Brooke alluded to, from the 8s to the first team, not just the under-23s. But they'll be having all their games at the John Jenkins, so if people are around, they've got a fantastic young group there, some really exciting prospects, and I know there's more in the pipeline that hopefully we can breed into first team players in the future.
Sorry, can you just tell me what PGA stands for?
Oh, sorry, so it's Professional Game Academy. So yeah, every team in the championship with the compliance, you get like a year to set it up, and you can pick from, I think you get licenses where you can either have 2 teams or 1 team, and they'll kind of run professionally alongside, so they'll get similar kind of provision and training scheduling, so they can obviously be the best they can be as a young player too.
I've got a question here for Hannah. Hopefully it's not an unfair question, but of the new signings, which one excites you the most?
All of them.
Not the political answer.
No, to be fair, and I'm not just backing out of this. Credit where credit's due. The recruitment has been absolutely spot on. all of the new ones have come into the team. They've settled in really quickly, and they're like, the whole club's philosophy is like, you've got to be a good person first, and they all are, and they fit straight into the team. Obviously different players in different positions, they all bring something individually, but all of them are top class players, and they're really making a positive impact and strengthening our team for this season.
Why Hannah's got the mic. Hannah, last year was a pretty special season, especially for those of us who followed the journey all the way from when you first came to the club. Captaining the side to the title, has it sunk in yet? And what sticks out from you about last season more than anything else?
Hasn't really sunk in, like I spoke about earlier, but every time that I've put on the band for the last season, it's just an honour. Like, I couldn't single out a single game that means more to me, because every time I've got that on, I can't explain it, just fills you with pride. But yeah, it's mad. But what a season last season was, like the way that the team pulled together, and even the tail end of the season before where we did so well. I think it was come the January period of the year before, we just went into this unbelievable run and sat at the top of the table unexpectedly for about 8 weeks, and it was absolutely mad to think that it boiled down to 6 points was the difference between top and fourth that year. Like, unreal. So being able to bounce off of that, and all the celebrations, to be able to celebrate it with all the fans and the South Sea Parade, the last game of the season, the awards night, and everything is just really special, and just want the season to start now. I know we're just over a week away, but it can't come quick enough.
Just wondering how the TV and broadcasting works, where we'll be able to see highlights, and are you going to be on Poppy Plus with full match replays?
This is probably one for Max at the back. So this season, Nuco, which is the new company that's been set up, they've decided to go with YouTube as the provider for a lot of the highlights and live fixtures. There is a Championship channel and a WSL channel, I believe, and one game from the Championship every week will be streamed live, and then there'll be a highlight show in the evening on YouTube, which I think they've done it. I don't know if anyone ever used the FA Player last year, but logging in was difficult. You had to set up accounts and you had to go through 2 logins, and I think this is just to make access and access to the game a lot easier. I don't think you have to log in. I think you can literally find it on the YouTube website. So hopefully it just draws in a little bit, like slightly bigger numbers than what we would have had trying to get people to sign up to the FA Player to watch a game.
Is it all going to be on Poppy Plus as well?
I believe so. I think the only caveat to that is if any games fall in the blackout period. Is that right, Max?
It's like with this board, 4 match replays is one, we don't know that yet, but normal sort of 2-minute, 3-minute highlights, short highlights will be available on our website and YouTube as well.
Do you want the mic, Max?
Very patiently waiting.
Question for Jay. Considering how close-knit the squad was last season and how well they performed throughout the season, how hard was it for you to let some of those players go?
For some of them, because first and foremost they're human beings, and as Hannah alluded to, my kind of ethos is a very person-centric approach. So there was a lot of emotion in the room, I won't lie, with some of the players. We took a whole day with staff. Obviously at the time a lot of the staff were working, so I'll be honest, they took a whole day of work, and we were 9 till 5 on a Friday before the last training session before London Bees, and we looked at all aspects of players. So we've got a psychologist, and throughout the season we did a number of questionnaires to kind of quantify the metrics that makes Pompey, the unity, the resilience, the fight, the grit, determination. We had our physical performance coach look through the data. We were able to compare that with data of a team that did well in the Championship last year, so we can see the difference in players' data. And then also from an in-possession, out-of-possession order data and statistical, as well as using your own eye. And then also looking at players from the character and also what players you need to be able to perform in the Championship. It is a different kettle of fish, not only from player but also from a head coach, managerial, in terms of tactical, the amount of changes in game. So it was difficult. We had to make those decisions and hope they would pay off. Only time will tell. Some of the decisions were very difficult, having those conversations. Danny Lane, Lita Rutherford, big names, great players, great individuals who obviously have carried on in the game, which is great. But I think we had to have a level of ruthlessness about us, but also a level of compassion, understanding that there are better players out there are better head coaches than me out there. However, we've all come together and rallied to get an opportunity in the Championship, and if we can keep the large quartet of that've got that kind of identity, and as Hannah alluded to, bringing the right players who we have, then we'll hopefully be able to compete next season.
On a note to that, you said you compared the stats to a Championship team from last season. How close were they?
Physically, we were quite far off, but then when we look at it, the team were training that we compare with 5 days a week, established men's Premier League team and a top team that performed very well in the Championship. So then we looked at what ways can we bridge the gap then. So obviously going full time has enabled our physical data to increase tenfold. But also looking at what teams do, and obviously Brooke's got a lot of knowledge in that as well with Reading. But when we looked at individual players, it was, if we're going to play a high pressing team or a high pressing game, and we're going to need players that can have them physical outputs. So obviously if I was playing, I wouldn't be a striker in a Pompey women team. Well, first and foremost because of the gender, but secondly because I'm 6'3" and I can't run. So it's kind of a case of trying to find those players that can physically. But I think the biggest thing is the development of players. We've now got 7, 8, maybe 9 players that we're hitting some of the Super League data that we've got in certain areas, but in other areas we know we need to improve, and that's been the biggest kind of thing over the off seasons, trying to get those players to that level, give them the exposure, and then hopefully, because I think the physical demands for me are going to be the biggest change we'll see. The speed of the game, the speed of the athletes, it's a massive shift, probably day and night from Tier 3.
Is player budget and squad size similar to other Championship teams?
I think.
Or where does it stand in the?
I think squad size. Obviously, we can get a few numbers through in our eyes. It'll be, I think, relatives 22, maybe 2 per position, maybe. Some obviously with bigger budgets will go up to 25. That's our squad cap. Budget-wise, I haven't really compared what I know. Some teams like London City Lionesses and Newcastle have obviously got finances, but for us we've got a competitive budget, one that we feel we've been able to secure the players we wanted. Of the, how many have we brought in now? 6 players, I think it was. 5 players. Cheers, thank you. 4 of them were our top targets. 4 of them were our top targets. 1 player came on the market and we were like, we cannot not get her. So to bring in the 4 players that we wanted to, without provisionally knowing their salaries, because obviously it's new to us, I'd say we've got a competitive budget. Every head coach will want more, of course they will. I'm very happy with what we've got, and we'll continue to hopefully build on what we've got to.
Is the backroom staff as well, is that some, like psychologists and the data people, are they full-time just for the women's team, or are they shared, or are they sort of, become part-time or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, so we've obviously got Brooke, obviously head of football, myself full-time, Kim Stennon, who's gone full-time, who's our assistant coach, a licensed coach, played the game as well. And we got Lee Callan, who's a goalkeeping coach and does kit operations too. James Webb, who's our sports therapist full-time. We got Rosie, who's our part-time physiotherapist, comes in on 2 days to support. Grace Laidlaw, who's recruitment and performance analyst full-time. And then we've also got Ollie Reeves, who's our full-time physical performance coach. So we've got full-time staff. A lot of us collaborate together with the certain job roles and responsibilities, with it being a smaller MDT, but it's a tight-knit multidisciplinary that we've got. But we've also got the ability to tap into the men's side as well. John's very open to coming down. Lee Callender was with the goalkeepers on Monday with Joe Bergomo, doing a goalkeeping session with them. If we want to tap into Dan Ashby and see what they do for opposition analysis, he'll come back to us. So there's a real collaborative approach. I know Ian was mentioning it about having 1 club and 2 teams, or 2 teams, 1 club. we are very fortunate at Portsmouth that we've got that and we're living it, and there are always going to be little sticklers that you want to get there, but in terms of the men's staff and our staff, there's a real collaboration between the two.
Question at the back?
Yeah. Can I sort of go on that then, when you're saying 2 teams, 1 club, when you're saying about just going to the female, going to girls' clubs, why not go to boys' clubs as well? My grandson loves coming.
100%, because I'm sat next to my little boy's role model. He's got Hannah Haughton on the back of his shirt, and he's given a year 8 history lesson about who Hannah Haughton was. Who is Hannah Haughton? Isn't the goalkeeper at Pompey at the time Josh Griffiths? And he went, no. Got her up on YouTube and showed Hannah Haughton saving, was it Shannon Sibright's penalty in the Hampshire Cup final when we beat Southampton? Yeah. And yeah, he was happy and proud to show that, but it's true 100%, and that's what we did. There was one game, we've obviously got the New Blues initiative that we started to try and get local grassroots teams in, and that was back a couple of years ago, something that we started to try and get as many grassroots teams in for free, that they could come in and be a part of the team, and then we build as mascots. And we were really privileged that we had Horndean boys team come down, and the boys, and I think it's breaking the mould around the gender, 100%, like you said about Will, obviously supporting. We want as many people and break the mould and stigma, boys, girls, men, women. I think it's fantastic that we can do that.
So my grandson went to Fratton Park, but much prefers coming to see the ladies play.
Now that's something like you said about attendances that we can definitely build upon, and we want to do more. One of my roles before going full-time, when I was full-time in a consultancy role, but when the team were part-time, was very much, can you go out to schools and market it, and whether you're going to senior schools and doing career pathway advice and chats of how you've managed to get here, or going to the younger ages and delivering a PE session to the younger ones, and then going, come along and watch our games, because it is accessible. And a lot of what the marketing team do with the face paints and the balloons and it's different to the men. It's different. It's a different demographic. It's a different. But we want to make it a whole day occasion for people when they do come down. Like even the hard work that's gone on to get the Durham game on the Saturday. A lot of hard work to get it on the Saturday, so it doesn't clash with West Brom for the men's on the Sunday, and we can make it a massive occasion to get as many people down as possible.
Years ago, when Oakley Printers was Oakley Printers, yeah, they went to my daughter's senior school, and they gave out tickets for prizes for them to actually go to watch the game at Fratton Park. Is there something that sort of initiative to go and then do that and give them tickets to go to last week, or when there is a game at Fratton Park, then get tickets to go to Fratton Park and watch the ladies play there?
So I'm going to answer that question in 2 parts. We want to get out to as many schools, grassroots football clubs, even women's senior teams actually for that matter, and market our team and our matches as much as possible. But on a side note to that, we also value the product, and I think there's a lot of work to be done in the free ticket space. We are running a business first and foremost. We want to provide the girls and the staff with better all the time, but better costs money. So we need to make sure we're valuing the product that they're putting on a match day. And the answer to that isn't always for us just to give tickets away. We have a lot of plans from a marketing point of view where we're going to do different deals and different kind of marketing ideas that we've got to go to schools, whether that's through the community, different projects that the community do, the community teams themselves. But that won't always necessarily mean we're just kind of going out and giving tickets, but there'll be incentives to come along, and whether that's like discount tickets for grassroots fixtures or groups, families, we'll be doing different things all through the season. We've had a few conversations about what that will be, and they'll come to light as and when the games arrive with different ideas. I don't think for the Durham game there is anything at the moment, but we have had a discussion today about a potential idea for the Durham game, which does include going out to grassroots teams. So I think it will change through the year, and we'll try and kind of attract different landscapes and different ages, like you say, schools, teams, so that we can try and engage with as much as the community as we can.
just adding on to that, last season we did a promotion where sponsors were offered the chance to buy 50 tickets, £2 a ticket, so £100, and then donate them to a school of their choice. And we did that. I think I'm right in saying we got somewhere in the region of about 600 tickets, I think, doing that through sponsors. So yeah, it's a difficult balancing act to get it right. And the league the FA NUCO are very keen that the product has a value, and they, I might say, frown on free tickets, but they are not so hot on free tickets. I get the whole point that I want people in to watch the product, because the product is so good that when they come, they'll come back. But it is a balancing act, and we are working on that hard to get the right balance there.
So will that affect ticket prices then, because of the revenue we'll need to get the money into the club?
Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, as Brooke says, we are, it is a business. We have a budget, and just to reiterate here that the men's budget is completely different from the women's budget. We're not combined. We're run as two separate businesses, so we have to stand on our own 2 feet. Jay occasionally will ask if we can spend a little bit more money on a player. I seem to remember. And the only way to do that, obviously, is through revenue. It's a balancing act to get it right, but the product, we believe now, is top notch. It's a great product. We've got superstars playing for us. Yeah, we've got Hannah Haughton. And Super Sophie, Sophie Quirk. What a player, and I go around and kids say to me, about, I love Sophie Quirk, I love Sophie Quirk as well, she's fantastic. And that's it, that's excitement, that's what you get, that buy-in to players, and it's phenomenal. The future is so exciting, it's untrue, really. But it is a business, and we've got to appreciate that. And I have to run it to the budget. I cannot overspend, because I'll be out of a job. So that's where we are. But yeah, we're really looking at growing the audience wherever we can, and that's the women's game is so different to the men's from the point of view of the audience is so different. It's amazing. It's all areas, all groups, all types of people. It's so diverse. Where the men's game isn't, it's much more rigid, supporter groups. But the women's, we're in, as you said, young guys, young boys love coming to the women's football. That's great. We've got to encourage all that. That's where it is. The amount of, look, the girls now playing football, my goodness, huge increases, absolutely enormous increases in girls playing football, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. We want to excite people. That's what we want to do. We want to excite people, and I get excited watching our team play now. Well, I always have done, but even more so now, because we've got such great players, such great excitement going on here, and we're looking forward to a phenomenal season. We really are. So every way we can improve, we were going to try and improve, and we're setting targets which are very high targets. but that's what we do at Portsmouth. That's what it's about. And as I said before, it's hard. You know, if a player's not good enough, she's not good enough. It's very, very hard, but that's the situation. You know, the call is made, it's an opinion, and somebody has to make that. But also, hey, we're not good enough, then we've got to move on. It's as simple as that. We've got to learn that and build this football club going forward. So the best people for the job. And I believe we've got a phenomenal group of people running this football club now.
On that
We've got time for maybe one or two more questions.
So on the topic of the women's club being run as a separate business, some people say that one of the problems with the men's game as a supporter is that far too much of the income is generated by TV, not enough by ticket sales, and therefore the supporter doesn't really get a say in what happens at football anymore. But where does the revenue come from the women's team? What's the ratio? Is it mostly ticket sales, or where does it
At the moment, the honest answer to that is the shared revenue from the league, which is made up of FA funding and distribution from the rights for the broadcast deals. So yeah, like you say, the disparity is still quite big, probably more so in the men's, but still in the women's, I would be lying to say that we would be able to get close to what revenue we generate from the league in comparison to ticket sales throughout a whole season.
Do we get any do you get any revenue from Wesley Park? Refreshment, beer and coffees and all that sort of thing. Is that too commercial to?
No, I think they keep the revenue. My understanding.
I was only thinking because obviously you're looking to bring it back, obviously to Fratton Park.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the thing there is, although it's a bigger place and there's all the overheads and everything else, the benefit of that is obviously the revenue from refreshments and all those sorts of things, and also I guess attracting, people in the city. If it's an away game for the men's side, attracting people in as well that, I say men and women, but a lot of the guys that would maybe come along and watch the women's game, which they haven't done before.
So, to answer your question, at Wesley we don't take a cut of the refreshment income that's kept by them. I don't know with the men's team at Fratton Park whether there's an agreement in place with whoever runs the catering and what that income is. Okay. But I agree with you from a logistic point of view. Us being at Fratton Park obviously helps in a number of ways, and access is one of them. A conversation that we've had with plenty of people that we've discussed coming to the game is how do we get there? If we're in Portsmouth, how do we get there? So we're aware of those challenges. I think this year is obviously a transition year, and we are where we are. I think Jay loves playing at Wesley, so contentious conversation. But Fratton Park brings us obviously the pitch being grass. I think is big and important step for women's football. But also the access to the city and how easy it is for people that support Portsmouth to get to it. So we're aware of that. We've had plenty of conversations with people that make us aware of that, and I think that's why the long-term goal of the club is to eventually get to Fratton Park, but that also comes with different complexities. Clashes of fixtures becomes difficult when games get picked for broadcast last minute and fixtures change dates within 4 weeks. There's so many things that you have to consider when you do ground share and main stadia. So there's probably lots of things that the club will have to look at in order for that to move forward.
And the last question, the lady at the back who's patiently waited.
Yeah, question for Jay. Do we have any injury issues before the start of the season?
Yeah, we've got 2 injuries. Obviously, we've got Jazz, who's obviously out with ACL. I've spoken to her about saying it, so she's re-ruptured her ACL graft, which is obviously devastating news. I did speak to her before about being open and honest, because as a football club, that's what we want transparency. So that was a devastating moment throughout her period. She's gone through a pre-op again, and then she'll obviously be re-strengthening her knee before going through another operation, which is obviously going to set her back further, so she probably won't be putting her foot on the pitch. But that is why I'll be honest, that is why we've given her a 2-year contract, because there's potential there. We'll get her through this year, and this year will be a mentally challenging year for her, but she's got good people around her and she's got a lot of potential. So we're hopefully that she'll be back. And then we picked up sustained one injury in Ella Humphrey, obviously at Cheltenham, innocuous ankle injury there, but that's looking like probably a short term, 6 to 8 weeks. She's been back on the pitch today, just doing some light work, and we'll get her back there. But nothing else of major note. To be fair, the players at the start, obviously the overuse injuries, there was a few little niggles here and there with obviously training going from part-time to full-time. We had a few little moments, but at the minute, touch wood, we're going into the weekend, the final pre-season game full strength, just without obviously Jazz and Ella.
Well, thank you very much to everyone on the question board. Give back a quick round of applause for that.